Chicago, Illinois, United Center, March 4th, 1996. Wednesday night, 7:30 in the evening. The arena holds 21,701 people, and every single one of them is standing before the game has even started. Not because of a pregame show, not because of a musical performance, because of something that was said 3 days ago. 3 words that have detonated across the entire basketball world like a bomb dropped in daylight. 3 words that nobody should have said out loud. 3 words that Shaquille O'Neal said with a smile on his face and absolute certainty in his voice. "You don't dunk on me." That is what he said. On a radio show in Los Angeles, surrounded by laughing hosts and a live audience, the most physically dominant basketball player on the planet looked directly into a microphone and dared the universe to prove him wrong. He was asked about Michael Jordan. He was asked about the Chicago Bulls, about their championship run, about their unstoppable offense. And Shaq, being Shaq, gave an answer that no one expected, and everyone immediately repeated. "Jordan is great," he said. "Jordan is maybe the greatest scorer who ever lived. But Jordan doesn't dunk on me. Nobody dunks on me. I don't care who you are. You come to my house, you pay at the door." And Michael Jordan has never paid. The radio hosts laughed. Shaq laughed. The audience laughed. It seemed like a joke, like the kind of bravado that athletes throw around without consequence. Shaq was famous for his humor, for his charisma, for his ability to make everything feel like entertainment. But the words traveled. They always do. A clip, a transcript, a column in the Chicago Tribune. And then something very simple happened. Michael Jordan heard it. Nobody knows exactly when he heard it. Nobody knows if he was in the locker room, or at a film session, or at home watching ESPN. What is known is that Phil Jackson, the Bulls head coach, noticed something different in practice the following morning. Jordan was quiet. Not frustrated quiet. Not angry quiet. The kind of quiet that is worse than both of those things. The kind of quiet that means a decision has been made, and all that remains is execution. Phil Jackson had coached Jordan for years. He had seen him destroy opponents in every way imaginable. He recognized this quiet immediately. He didn't say anything to his staff. He just called his assistant and said, "Make sure the cameras are running on Thursday. All of them." 3 days passed. The basketball world watched and waited. Reporters asked Jordan about Shaq's comments at a press conference on Tuesday. Jordan smiled. That same smile that championship banners are made of. He said nothing interesting. He said the right diplomatic things about respecting Shaquille's dominance, about focusing on the game, about not being distracted by outside noise. The reporters wrote down his non-answer and then read between the lines furiously, because everyone who had ever covered Michael Jordan knew that when he smiled like that and said nothing, he was already planning something. He was always planning something. Now it is Wednesday night. The Los Angeles Lakers against the Chicago Bulls. A regular season game that has sold out in 11 minutes. 11 minutes. Scalpers outside the United Center are charging amounts that professional basketball players in the 1970s never earned in a year. People who cannot afford it are paying anyway, because something is going to happen tonight. No one can say exactly what. No one can say exactly when. But everyone feels it the way you feel weather changing. That pressure in the atmosphere that tells your body before your mind catches up that something significant is on its way. Shaquille O'Neal is listed at 7 feet 1 inch tall. He weighs 315 pounds. These numbers are written on official documents, and both of them are lies in the direction of modesty. He is bigger than the numbers suggest, bigger in a way that doesn't register until you are standing next to him, and you realize that your frame of reference for what a human body can look like has been permanently recalibrated. His arms reach places that arms have no business reaching. His hands are large enough to hold a standard basketball the way a normal person holds a tennis ball. When he runs the floor, the sound is different from other players. The impact is different. The floorboards respond differently. He is not playing the same physical game as the men around him, and everyone in the building knows it every single time he moves. But what Shaq has beyond the physical dimensions, beyond the weight and the wingspan and the vertical explosion, is the absolute conviction that the painted area under the basket belongs to him. Not strategically, not tactically, personally. He doesn't protect the rim the way a shot blocker protects it. He inhabits it. He makes it hostile territory through sheer psychological dominance. Players drive the lane and change their minds before he even moves. Players catch the ball in positions where they should convert easy layups and hesitate. And in that hesitation, they lose everything. The fear of Shaquille O'Neal has altered the decision-making of every guard in the league. And he knows it. And he uses it. And when he said on that radio show that nobody dunks on him, he was not speaking from arrogance. He was reporting a fact. In 8 years of professional basketball at that point, the documented record supports him almost entirely. Opponents who attempt to dunk over Shaquille O'Neal generally accomplish one of 3 outcomes. They alter the attempt at the last second and miss a shot they would have made in an empty gym. They complete the attempt and get their shot rejected with a violence that echoes through the entire building and follows them for the rest of their career. Or they make contact with Shaquille O'Neal at full speed on the way to the rim, and they discover that there are forces in the physical world that cannot be overcome by desire and athleticism alone. Nobody dunks on me. It is not a taunt. It is a statement of condition. Michael Jordan is 6 feet 6 inches tall. He weighs 216 pounds. He has a 45-inch vertical leap that in his prime could keep him airborne long enough for opponents to land before he did. He has been dunking over, around, between, and through defenders his entire professional career. He has been Defensive Player of the Year. He has won 5 scoring titles. He has won 3 championships at this point, and he is going to win 3 more. And the basketball world already knows it, even if they cannot articulate why. What he has that almost no other player in the history of the sport shares is the ability to transform a basketball game into a personal statement. He doesn't just play better when it matters. He plays differently. Something inside him shifts, and what comes out the other side is something that analysts and commentators have been trying to describe accurately for over a decade without fully succeeding. The Bulls win the tip. The game begins. For the first 2 quarters, Michael Jordan plays basketball. Not exceptional basketball, not historic basketball. Basketball. He scores 14 points in the first half, which for anyone else on the planet would be a tremendous first-half performance, and for Jordan is almost restrained. He is running the offense, moving the ball when the right read is to move it, taking shots when they are there, playing within the system. Phil Jackson watches from the sideline with his arms folded. The coaching staff watches with the quiet attention of people who know they are waiting for something, but have not yet been told what it is. Shaq is dominant in the first half. 17 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocked shots. The Lakers are competitive. Shaq is talking in the paint, talking to Bulls big men who are trying to guard him, talking to the referees, talking with that running commentary that he maintains throughout every game like a separate performance happening alongside the basketball one. He is enjoying himself. He looks toward the bench, toward his teammates, makes a joke about something, gets a laugh. He is in complete control of his environment. He looks toward half-court where Jordan is standing, receiving a play call, and their eyes meet for a moment. Shaq grins. Jordan doesn't. The third quarter starts. The Bulls get a defensive stop. The ball comes out to Jordan on the wing. He surveys the floor. His defender presses up. Jordan drives right, not at full speed, at a speed that invites his defender to commit, to plant, to establish a position. And then Jordan does what Jordan does. He drops the first gear and finds the second gear that nobody else has, that gear between human and something else. And he has passed his man before the man's nervous system has processed that the first move was a feint. He is in the lane. 2 defenders collapse. He splits them with his body, absorbing contact on his left side, and he is rising, and the basket is 10 feet in the air, and Shaquille O'Neal is there. O'Neal has turned in time. He has seen Jordan coming. His arm is rising. His block timing is precise from years and years of repetition, from the muscle memory of a man who has contested thousands of shots at the rim and rejected the majority of them. His hand goes up. Jordan sees it. Jordan, who is already airborne, who is already committed, who is already past the point where most players make the decision that costs them, does not make that decision. He does not release. He does not alter. He pulls the ball to his chest, hangs in the air one moment longer than physics should allow, waits for Shaq's arm to begin its descent, and then he rises again. Not higher. Differently. The ball goes up off the backboard with a kiss so soft it seems impossible from a man moving at that speed with that much happening in his body, and it falls through the net without touching the rim. The building erupts, but Jordan is already running back on defense. He doesn't pause under the basket. He doesn't look at Shaq. He doesn't acknowledge the crowd. He runs back the way he always does, immediately, as if this is the only logical thing that could have happened, and there is no reason to treat it otherwise. Shaq stands under the basket for 1 full second longer than he should. His arm is still partially raised from the block attempt. He is looking at the spot where Jordan was a moment ago. He is processing. In 30 years of basketball, from Bayou La Batre, Alabama, to Cole High School in San Antonio, to Baton Rouge, to Orlando, to this building tonight, Shaquille O'Neal has never needed more than a fraction of a second to process what happens during a basketball play. He is one of the most basketball-intelligent players alive. His processing speed is exceptional. But right now he needs a second. And in that second, while the crowd is at maximum volume and his teammates are running back on defense, Shaq is standing and thinking, trying to name what he just witnessed. Because it wasn't a dunk. Jordan didn't dunk on him. Jordan hung in the air long enough for the dunk attempt to become something else, something more controlled and more humiliating, because a dunk could be explained as athleticism, as power, as one athlete overwhelming another. What Jordan did in that moment was demonstrate that he could start a play, read Shaq's response, and adjust his entire approach in midair at full speed, as if the difficulty of the situation was simply information that he used, rather than pressure that affected him. He showed Shaq his best defensive move, and Jordan neutralized it without touching it, without confronting it. He simply rendered it irrelevant. For the next 4 minutes, Shaq plays with something different in his eyes. Not defeat, not anger. The word that comes closest is attention, the kind of attention you pay to something you did not expect to have to pay attention to. He is still dominant. He still scores. The Lakers are still in the game. But something in his relationship to the space around the basket has changed slightly, like a door that was locked that is now merely closed, and the difference is invisible to most of the people watching and completely apparent to anyone who knows what they are looking at. The fourth quarter. The Bulls have built a 6-point lead. Jordan has 31 points. The game is not over. The Lakers are pressing. The crowd, despite the lead, is not at ease because no lead feels safe when Shaquille O'Neal is on the floor and his team is down, because he can erase deficits with his body faster than other players can erase them with their skills. The ball finds Jordan on the right wing with 4 minutes left. His man is close. The shot is contested. Jordan rises anyway. Because this is what Jordan does. It goes in. It always goes in. When Michael Jordan decides to shoot a contested jumper in the fourth quarter of a close game, the statistics of what happens next are so overwhelming that they constitute something close to a physical law. Shaq catches the inbound pass in the post with his back to the basket. He has the mismatch he wants. The Bulls send a double team. Shaq reads it, pivots, finds the open man. Lakers score. 5 points. Jordan receives the ball in transition. He is at full speed. He goes to the rim. Not in Shaq's direction. A clean path, a straightforward layup that goes in over a smaller defender. 4 with 2 minutes left. The game is being decided point by point now, that specific variety of basketball suffering that fans simultaneously hate and cannot look away from. With 43 seconds left and the Bulls up by 3, the Lakers inbound to Shaq in the post. He powers up. He scores. He is fouled. He makes the free throw. 1-point game. The building goes from noise to something that is physically uncomfortable to be inside. 31 seconds. Bulls ball. Timeout. The teams go to their benches and 31,000 people sit in the kind of collective nervous system overload that sports exist to produce. Phil Jackson draws up the play. The Bulls execute it. Jordan receives a screen, uses it, catches the ball at the elbow with 19 seconds on the clock. His defender is close. Jordan looks at the basket. He makes no move. He holds the ball. The defender adjusts, shifts weight, prepares for the drive. Jordan pulls up. The shot is clean. It goes in. Bulls by 3. The Lakers come down the floor, push the ball ahead. Shaq catches it at the arc and hoists a three-pointer that he should never be able to make, but which goes in and out, rim out, and the Bulls rebound and the final seconds run out, and it is over. In the handshake line, Jordan and Shaq meet. Shaq is 6 inches taller and 100 pounds heavier, and he puts his hand out, and Jordan shakes it. They are close enough that the television cameras, which catch everything, do not catch what is said. But Shaq speaks, and Jordan nods, and that is the end of the conversation in public. What Shaq says in the locker room afterward is reported by 3 separate journalists who are present when he says it, and all 3 versions are consistent. He says, "I told you nobody dunks on me." He's right. Jordan didn't dunk on me. He did something worse. He showed me something I didn't know I had to worry about. I was ready for everything he could do. He did something I wasn't ready for. That's what separates him. Not the scoring. Not the athleticism. He knows what you're defending against and he does something else. The television broadcast of the play is replayed the following morning on every sports program on every network. The analysts slow it down. They frame it, freeze it, study it. They try to isolate the moment where Jordan decides to adjust, to find the frame where the decision happens. They cannot. The adjustment is not a reaction to Shaq. It precedes Shaq's movement. Jordan has seen the defense before it is fully deployed and processed his response before his body is in position to execute it. He is not reacting to the present. He is playing a version of the game that is 4 or 5 decisions ahead of what anyone else on the floor is experiencing in real time. Jordan scores 37 points that night. The Bulls win by 3. A regular season game in March that nobody will ever fully forget and that almost no one can explain with complete precision even decades later, which is exactly what Michael Jordan spent his entire career doing. Not winning. Winning is too simple a word. Proving. Again and again, and in different ways each time, against different defenses and different challenges and different people who said the thing that should never be said out loud to a man like that. You can't do this in my house. Jordan never said a word about Shaq's radio comments. Not before the game, not after it, not in the years that followed when journalists asked him about it in retrospect. He had a policy about certain things. The policy was that some answers are better given on the court than in a press conference room, and some statements deserve a response that is permanent, that lives in the footage and in the memory of the people who were there, rather than in a quote that gets printed and forgotten. 3 days earlier, Shaquille O'Neal had said something into a microphone in Los Angeles that traveled across the country and landed in Michael Jordan's ears. And Jordan had made a decision. He didn't make a statement in return. He didn't call a press conference. He didn't do anything publicly at all. He went to practice the next morning and was quiet in the way that Phil Jackson recognized immediately, and the way that Bulls players who had been with him for years understood without being told. Michael Jordan heard something, and now the only question was what form the response would take, not whether it would come. It came with 19 seconds left in the third quarter, on a drive to the basket that should have been a dunk, and became instead something harder to defend against and harder to forget. It came in the form of a basketball play that took perhaps 2 seconds to complete, and that people who were inside the United Center on March 4, 1996, would describe for the rest of their lives with the specific energy of people who need the listener to understand that they were there, that they saw it with their own eyes, that the replay is accurate, but it does not capture what it felt like to be present when it happened. Nobody dunks on Shaquille O'Neal. That is true. That record stands. But in a building in Chicago on a Wednesday night, Michael Jordan came to the rim against the most defensively imposing physical specimen the sport has ever produced, and he threaded a response through the one gap in the entire structure that Shaq could not close, the gap between what you prepare for and what actually arrives. Shaq had prepared for power. Jordan brought precision. Shaq had prepared for speed. Jordan brought patience. Shaq had prepared for everything Michael Jordan was known to do. Jordan did something else. That is what the footage shows. That is what the analysts study. That is what the 31,000 people in the building cannot fully articulate but refuse to let go of. And that is what Shaquille O'Neal means when he says, years later, in quiet conversations away from cameras, that of every opponent he ever faced in his career, the one he respected most was not the one who matched his power with more power. It was the one who looked at everything he had built, understood it completely, and then found the part of it that didn't exist yet.